When thinking about carnivorous plants, one doesn't necessarily think about the flowers and how that they can add to a landscape. Most of the times we're focused on their ability, obviously, to be insectivorous and eat bugs, and we're surrounded by that sort of enthralled idea of insects being eaten by plants, which is understandable. But I would like to say that carnivorous plants have a place in flowerscapes as well. And in front of you is just an example of that. These are a mixture of filiformis and bonata, so different types of Drosera. And there's also some Cape sundews in there, along with a proto-carnivore plant called a Stylidium, and then also a Utricularia flower. And now I'm going to show you those in detail and explain to you also why these belong in your collection, whether it's carnivorous or non-carnivorous. Now, the Droseras, what you have in front of you are some Cape sundews and some different bonatas. They flower nearly continuously throughout the year, so they love that outdoor full sun, and they will continue to produce flowers like this. Now, the Drosera capensis are self-fertile, and so they will absolutely produce tons of seeds and continue to grow your collection. So you need to keep that in mind when you are planting them, and they are going to require some different soil types. And I will talk about that in just a minute. But the white flowers in the back, some of those are Drosera capensis albiforms, but the filiformis and the bonatas are not self-fertile, and so they will produce these beautiful scapes of flowers, but they will not self-seed for the most part. There's one variety from New Zealand that does, but it's rare in cultivation. But if you come over here, you'll just see that they just produce just hundreds of seed pods, and each of those seed pods have hundreds of seeds. Now, a couple things to keep in mind. These are going to grow in different soil types than would be your normal garden soil. It's going to want inert soil like peat moss, or a mixture of peat moss and perlite. They don't want any fertilizer, but don't worry, they will catch all the nitrogen they need through the bugs. But this is still possible to grow them. You can either grow them in containers in your garden, or you can even just put down some pond liner in a certain location and then put down some peat moss. That way it'll keep the nutrients at bay from the rest of your soil. But not only will they help with pests, they will attack any of those aphids. They can be prone to get aphids, but they will also help with that. But they'll attack mites, any sort of ground-dwelling animals, caterpillars. We'll be able to get through them. Unfortunately, they're not really susceptible to that dew because they have dew that they produce to be able to move. But they will be able to help with a lot of ground-dwelling pests for your plants. And they also come, a lot of people use them in carnivorous plant collections at the base of larger carnivorous plants in order to do just that. But certainly they can be grown with non-carnivorous and carnivorous plants alike. Just provide them that. As far as water goes, they will handle water up to what's called parts per million of 150. I use tap water sometimes, which is 145, and they do just fine. But they like distilled water and or rainwater. But other than that, they can handle water levels up to 150 parts per million. The other cool thing about carnivorous plants is they divide profusely, and so they'll put up stolons that can be divided by leaf cuttings, root cuttings, you name it. They just like to grow. And what will end up happening is you'll have this almost evergreen forest of flowers until about, I'd say the beginning of about January. They will start to go dormant. And so once they go dormant, I'll make some future videos on that. They will look like they've died back, but they certainly are not. They're just resting for the year, but not all of them go dormant. The capensis that I have here in front of me does not go dormant, and so it will grow year-round and continue to flower for you. They're all different types. You can even get Utricularia, which we have a flower coming in here, which is considered the orchid of the carnivorous plant world. Now, it grows subterranean, but it will put out these stolons that you see around here, and it will flower profusely once it gets settled in. And those flowers, this is just a bud forming, but they will get quite large, about the size of $half, and they're big, beautiful purple flowers. Now, not all Utricularia are like that. There are some that put out little tiny rosettes of flowers, or little tiny flowers. And there's actually one here, if I can, there, that little tiny thing that are just itty bitty, but it just adds that second layer element to your garden. But these longifolia will produce big, beautiful flowers. There's also nullibifolia. There's a bunch of different types that will produce large flowers, but longifolia is the one that I recommend. It's extremely easy to grow. But again, just keep it in an area separated from the rest of your plants, either through a pot or a pond liner with that extra soil, and that will keep it from being invasive in your other plants, but will also allow the nutrients to stay out of them. So again, when we talk about carnivorous plants, a lot of people think of them as separate entities from non-carnivorous plants, and they also think about them as their carnivory and not so much their landscape beauty. But I'm here to change that and to show you that they can very much be a beautiful addition to any sort of flowerscapes. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.